Why we love the Tang Dynasty, exploring the unique charm of what's seen by many as the greatest imperial dynasty in Chinese history. Episode 2, The Power Revolution. I'm Bob Jones, and in this podcast series we'll be getting to know the Tang Dynasty and attempting to discover how, at its height, it became possibly the most powerful, interconnected and innovative country in the world, with a rich and influential legacy that survives even to this day. The Tang Dynasty's rise was in no way accidental. At its heart lay strong foundations, a robust political and administrative system that drove forward the empire's amazing achievements. To understand how it came about, we need to meet arguably the most important figure in the history of the dynasty, Li Shimin, who became Emperor Tai Tsung of Tang. Emperor Tai Tsung knew better than anyone else how vital it was to balance the powers of the ruling elites. That's because he himself had seized the throne through a brutal act of double fratricide and probably also a coup against his own father. Before becoming emperor, he had been a mighty general. He had helped his father, the founder of the Tang Dynasty, Emperor Gaozu, suppress unrest and unite the nation. However, his achievements led his older brother and heir apparent Li Jiancheng to feel threatened. He was right to feel that way. Li Shimin believed he had done so much to help get the dynasty off the ground that he should become emperor after the death of his father. Li Jiancheng made a pact with another brother, the cruel and reckless little brother Li Yuanzhi, to plot an assassination to get rid of their overpowerful, ambitious sibling. The assassination was unsuccessful, but it was a wake-up call and forced Li Shimin to stay ahead of the game and take action against them. On July 2nd, 626 AD, he rallied his troops and killed his two brothers at Xianwu Gate, the northern entrance to the emperor's palace, in a bloody ambush. 2 months later, his father, Emperor Gaozu, abdicated and passed the throne on to him. So began the reign of Emperor Tai Tsung of Tang. A quick explanation here about the names of our Tang emperors. It can get a bit confusing. Tang was founded by Li Yuan, and it's the Li family who provided all of our emperors in the Tang Dynasty. Ah, you may say, isn't there one exception, Empress Wu Zetian? Her last name is Wu, not Li. But considering that she married Tang emperors, she can be regarded as part of the family. Anyway, Li Yuan had served under a previous dynasty, the Sui. He was a great general, and when the Sui dynasty fell apart, he was urged on by his son, Li Shimin, to take control, which he did. He became known as the High Founder, or Gaozu, of the Tang Dynasty. Quick note, these so-called temple names such as Gaozu and Tai Tsung were honorific and usually awarded after the death of the emperor. They wouldn't have been known by this name while they were still alive. Because of the manner of his ascendance to the throne as potential victim and eventual victor, Emperor Tai Tsung knew all too well how the abuse of absolute power could shape the fortunes of an empire. Traditionally, as an emperor, he could do whatever he wanted, which is all very well if you are wise and altruistic. But if the opposite was true, then an empire could dive into darkness because of a vicious tyrant. So it seemed clear to him that for the benefit and stability of all, there should be limits on his potentially unlimited powers, and that he should be open to the guidance or advice of his ministers. Tai Tsung was a brilliant strategist and charismatic leader. It was those skills that had led his father to reward him by making him the Duke of Qin, and later Prince of Qin. One of the first things Tai Tsung did when he became emperor was to create a history commission to chronicle the rise and fall of the Sui dynasty. They say that history is written by the victors, and no more so than by Tai Tsung, who made sure his role in defeating the Sui was highlighted. In Tai Tsung's version of history, he had been the power behind his father all along. It was his aim to prove that he was every bit as capable, if not better, than his father. This he did by defeating his enemies and taking back control of territories that had been lost. He ruled with an iron grip and made sure that all unauthorized foreign travel was limited to prevent the possibility of spies entering the country. The roads in and out of the empire were dotted with checkpoints. But it wasn't all about fighting and control. Tai Tsung was a devout Buddhist and believed that all faiths should be able to live together peacefully. For example, when he was told by a trusted advisor that a military expedition might be too costly for the people, he would abandon it. It is said that he enjoyed his own company and was an accomplished poet and writer who wrote a number of handy handbooks, among them The Model of an Emperor, which became a bestseller among kings and rulers. But Tai Tsung understood that a professional military force was necessary for defense and also for the expansion of his realm. Under his rule, a total of 600 militia units were formed, each consisting of between 800 and 1,200 men. Militiamen, often ordinary farmers, were exempted from taxes and could serve either on short-term secondments to the capital or at border garrisons or in their own provinces. They were overseen by a professional corps of officers rotated around the empire to stop them building power bases of their own. There was even a standing force, the elite Northern Army, which was barracked outside the capital. Maybe all this sounds expensive, but the Tang economy was building at a terrific rate, and so could afford such extravagance, especially since it provided security against external attacks and internal revolt. At his peak, Emperor Tai Tsung was hailed as the Khan of Heaven by a cluster of kingdoms of nomads in the regions north and west of the Tang. He was even trusted with the power to adjudicate on international issues, in a way, the leader of a type of United Nations or G7 or ASEAN. These kingdoms respected him as a formidable leader. Even more so, they revered the Tang Dynasty's system of government. After all, it was this system that helped Tai Tsung outpower other rulers. His reign may have started as frugal and cautious, but that's not to say that Emperor Tai Tsung didn't enjoy the trappings of supreme power. He had a big fancy palace and hundreds, if not thousands, of servants. There was an army of officials all kowtowing and eager to obey his every whim. But the job of ruling an empire was far from easy. It had grown to being larger than the size of the United States today. And remember, there were no high-speed trains, speedboats, or executive jets to help cover the ground then. There were battles to be fought, treaties to sign, princes and foreign envoys to play host to, concubines to satisfy. None of this would have been possible without a robust and effective administrative system, which we'll learn about in a later podcast. So, cometh the hour, cometh the man. Li Shimin, Emperor Tai Tsung of Tang, schemed his way to the top. And then, by being reasonable and nice, made it almost impossible for anyone to plot against him. It was his benign, enlightened dictatorship which laid the foundations not only for the prosperity and creativity of the Tang Dynasty, but arguably also for dynasties to come. Emperor Tai Tsung may well have been the second emperor of the Tang Dynasty, but even today, many still regard him as the greatest emperor in ancient Chinese history. One of the reasons why we may love the Tang Dynasty is because it had outstanding emperors like Tai Tsung. But it wasn't just his personality that was a winner. It was the systems he put in place to rule one of the biggest countries on the planet, at the start and finish of the world's most important trading route, and a crucible for talent to flourish and succeed. Special thanks go out to Sanlian Zhongdu for their help in creating the content for this show. This is Bob Jones. Thanks for listening. Join me again next time.